Like many towns in the north of England, 1930 Stockton was in the grip of depression. Mass unemployment was affecting the whole of the north. Therefore, the conditions were ripe for a new political movement in the shape of Oswald Mosley's British Union of Fascists. On the afternoon of Sunday, the 10th of September 1933, the fascists marched on Stockton to drum up support. The result was chaos. It was here where the British Union of Fascists were met by the trade union members. This is where the chaos began.
It was Sunday morning in Stockton town, and last night's vomit was warm on the ground. A church bell whispered and the river gave a sigh, and both remembered days gone by.
On the afternoon of Sunday, the 10th of September 1933, a convoy of coaches arrived at Victoria Bridge on the Yorkshire side of the Tees. They were carrying more than 100 black shirts from Tyneside and the Manchester area. Led by their propaganda officer, Captain Vincent Collier, they assembled in military order, crossed the bridge and marched up Stockton High Street to a spot to the north of the town hall, where they planned to hold an open-air meeting. While they had hoped to arrive unannounced, the black shirts were surprised to find their plans had been leaked to a local trade union organiser of members of the Communist Party who had arranged a reception committee. It was reported at the time that as many as 2,000 opponents of the fascists had arrived to disrupt their meeting. As Captain Collier tried to address the crowd with a loud hailer, his voice could not be heard above the shouts and boos of the opposition. While the political opponents of the fascists had managed to find out about the black shirt meeting, the local police were unaware of their intentions, so there wasn't a strong police presence in the area. The few police who were on hand did their best to control the situation, and as things started to get out of hand, the inspector on duty ordered Collier and his entourage to break up the meeting and disperse. At this point, the crowd were becoming more hostile to the black shirts, who it seems broke ranks and rushed across to Silver Street in an attempt to protect themselves from the mob. By this time, both sides had armed themselves with a variety of weapons, including wooden batons and a pickaxe at handles. The mob was wading into the black shirts, who resisted as best as they could in the confines of Silver Street with the river at their backs. Missiles were thrown into the fascist ranks, and as well being hit with rocks and half bricks, the black shirts were pelted with potatoes into which razor blades had been fixed. As more police arrived, they began to take charge of the situation and were able to separate the warring factions and escort the fascists back down the high street to their coaches on the other side of the Tees, although some stragglers still had to outrun the mob, who followed them all the way. No arrests were made, but a number of the fascists were injured in the battle, some of them seriously. It was reported that as many as 20 of their number were treated in hospitals in the region that night. One of them, Edmund Warburton from Bury near Manchester, was blinded in one eye as a result from being hit by an object in Silver Street. Some reports say it was caused by a rock, others by a deadly potato. The Battle of Stockton was over, with the fascists being routed, although many of those present would find themselves facing fascist forces again a few years later. "84 years later, I want to know if the people of Stockton are aware that this battle happened right on their doorstep. To find out, I've came out into Stockton and I'm asking the public if they know about this battle and if it is still relevant today. To save me from explaining it to everyone, we made this board which has plenty of information about the battle." So obviously you've read the board about the Battle of Stockton, so what are your opinions on it? Did you know about it before this?
Never heard of it, to be honest, but I think it's really fascinating. Yeah, really interesting.
And do you think it's still relevant today? in the sort?
Well, yeah, because I think it's part of our history, and we all need to learn more about our area that we live in, and
But
we
also
didn't know
the
about
views
it.
of those political, they're extremists, aren't they?
Yeah.
Sort of both sides. So yes, it's still very relevant today.
Yeah.
I feel.
So did you know about the Battle of Stockton?
I did. My grandfather was lived in Stockton and was around at that time. So I was aware of it, although I never discussed it with him. And then sort of recently, the folk group who are getting quite famous, the young ones, have written a song about it.
Yeah.
So obviously I know more about it. I'm very interested in history, and I'm aware of what happened in the 30s, because Mosley was a Labour MP who became a fascist and imprisoned. So it's still relevant today that there has to be tolerance with people. And we live in a mixed society and so forth. So I don't like to see the sort of left and right battle each other and so forth. So it is relevant, and I'm pleased that it's been brought to attention. Lots of people wouldn't even know about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're trying to.
Mosley caused problems in the East End of London. I think there were some big battles there.
Yeah, Cable
but
Street.
but nobody would really be aware that he actually did come to Stockton.
I researched the internet, social media, and the Battle of Stockton seems to have very little archive. It's mentioned in text, but when it comes to photos and videos, there's nothing, and there's barely any recognition. But through this research, I discovered the Battle of Stockton campaign and agreed to meet the founders and talk about this campaign. So, who are you both?
My name's Sharon,
I'm Tom.
and we've started the Battle of Stockton campaign.
So, what is the campaign and why did you set it up?
The campaign is to raise awareness of the Battle of Stockton, and that happened on the 10th of September in 1933. I've lived in Stockton all of my life and I wasn't aware of it, and I don't think most people are. It is a massively politically and historically significant event for the town. Most people are aware of Cable Street and the battle there in 1936, and this actually happened 3 years before that. The British Union of Fascists came to Stockton during the Great Depression. Stockton was suffering significantly with job losses, the decline of industry. Fascism was rising right across Europe, and the people of Stockton still managed to fight it.
So, how well's the campaign going with people, and is anyone noteworthy following it?
It is gaining momentum quite rapidly since we set it up in the summer. We have a local folk band, the Young Uns, who actually sang a song about the Battle of Stockton. They are supporting us, and Jeremy Corbyn is aware of the campaign as well.
And we're having our second public meeting tomorrow, and our previous public meeting went really well, had a turnout of about 30 people, loads of people volunteering for roles from the public as well. That we didn't expect to get that level of support. So yeah, it's going down very well around the town.
So why do you think the Battle of Stockton still has relevance today?
I'd say in the same way that any historical battle or event has relevance, in that history is basically made by conflicting forces, and the conflicting forces of the past define the present, as the conflicting forces of today define what the future will be. And it's important to understand how our world was made and why that is. It's impossible to understand the struggles of the present in their proper context without looking at the forces that have brought those struggles to bear. It's like the present as well, we've got a lot of parallels with the 30s, like economic crisis that we haven't really recovered from yet, and all of the social antagonisms and divisions that come along with that, which haven't really changed that much in 100 years. So the idea is basically to make sure we don't choose fascism again this time, and important to celebrate our past refusal of it.
So what are your aims for the campaign's future?
For the 85th anniversary on the 10th of September 2018, there will be a memorial plaque in place near the town hall. We're currently having meetings with Stockton Borough Council to discuss that, and for possibly 2019 to have a mural in place, similar to the one that's there in Cable Street. We've got some bands that are going to be involved, and some dramatisations as well, and an education programme which we'll be discussing at tomorrow's meeting.
Right, so that's about all we need to know. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
The day after I met Sharon and Tom, I went to the Battle of Stockton campaign meeting. I'm here at Stockton's Georgian Theatre, which is the oldest ever surviving Georgian theatre, which would have been standing during the Battle of Stockton. I'm here to meet the people that run the Battle of Stockton campaign. Let's see what this meeting holds. Unfortunately, we couldn't film inside the meeting. However, beforehand, we got some interviews of people that were attending the Battle of Stockton campaign meeting.
Well, from my point of view, I'd seen on the BBC 6 o'clock news about Cable Street, and there was a whole programme about it, about how it stood up to the fascists, and because a lot of it's about London, and then I find out that the same thing had happened up here about 3 years earlier, and there's nothing, there's no knowledge, and it's like local history, and it's local politics. And our grandparents' generation, they stood up to fascism, when things were an awful lot worse than what they are now, and it's something we should be celebrating.
Yeah, I think know everything Paul said. I was really became sort of reinvigorated, if you like, when I heard about the current interest and the work that Paul and Elizabeth and Katie and everybody else in the group's doing. Something I've been interested in a long time. My family have always been involved in the labour and trade union movement, and my dad is no longer with me. He used to talk about in the past how on many occasions, there would be marches and rallies against the anti-fascist movement. And he taught me as a kid about the Battle of Stockton. But we tried a few years ago to get things up and running, and actually in this very Georgian theatre we put a play on that was written by a local playwright about it. But the interest wasn't there now, so I don't know whether the onset of social media and that is more helpful these days, but it's just about not letting the memories die, really. Yeah.
I'm Joanne Middleton. I live in Norton. I'm from the Stockton area, and my grandfather was Stanley Taggart, who was one of the members who went down to Stockton High Street to stop Oswald Mosley and then from coming into the town. My granddad was a massive Labour supporter, as most of my family are. It originated in Newcastle and he moved down here. I met my nana and then they married. She was a Labour supporter member, he was a member of the union, worked at ICI. So he was quite heavily involved in all of the political stuff and trade union stuff at the time. It's way above just individuals who are involved, and most of the individuals, all of the individuals that are involved are no longer with us anymore. But I think it's very important for Stockton to know about its heritage and the important political events that happened here, and that was a massive political event. Cable Street is commemorated every year in London, and it's something I'm very proud of, and it's something that I think we should be learning about in schools here, and also something that we should commemorate every year in Stockton.
So, I've just came out of the Battle of Stockton campaign meeting, and it was really interesting. It was great to see so many like-minded people supporting one cause and being so passionate about it. And I'd really look forward to see what this campaign holds for the future, and making sure that the Battle of Stockton is recognised and not hidden under the carpet like it is. To find out more information, we wanted to talk to someone who has a historical knowledge on the social issues at the time of the battle. Therefore, we met with college teacher Chris Griffiths. So, how extensive is your knowledge on the Battle of Stockton?
Well, actually it's quite recent. I teach geography, and we're looking at how places change, and so we look at Stockton as an example. And one of the things that we look at is the different ways in which Stockton's represented in the media. So I was looking around for some music actually, which might help represent Stockton. And I heard of a group called the Young Uns, and they're a sort of a local folk band. And I had a look at one of their CDs, and one of them was called The Battle of Stockton. So I thought that's a great example to have a look at. And I then found out a bit more about what it was about, and from the lyrics. And I was just amazed. It was something that I hadn't known before. born in Stockton, so but I'd never ever heard of the Battle of Stockton. So I then had a look at the Stockton Local Authority website, and seemed really interesting. So that's how I knew.
So, how significant do you think the events of the battle are today, and do you think it has any relevance today?
I think it is, because there's some worries about the re-emergence of the far right, and so it's something that I think people need to be on their guard against all the time, really. And of course, Stockton has problems within the town, so it might be the sort of a sort of ground where that might develop, fascism might develop.
Would you say it's the most interesting thing to happen in Stockton over the past 100 years?
Probably individual, an actual event, yes, I think so. But even though it's significant, I'm not sure that many people who live in Stockton actually know about it.
Yeah. And do you think like more younger people should have more knowledge on this?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I think knowing more about your local town is useful, because it gives you, well, in fact, in geography, it gives you a sense of place. You know, you're not just from anywhere; you're from a particular town which has a particular history. You know, both positive and negative as well. So I think it's perhaps part of your identity, isn't it?
Yeah. And the final question is, if another far-right fascist group gained support and relevance today, do you think Stockton would be a place that they would choose to promote themselves?
I would hope not, and I would hope there'd be some resistance to that as well. Obviously, by education as well. You know, it's the best way, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. So, thanks very much.
Okay.
84 years later, and the people of Stockton are still unaware that this event happened. We've obviously had many historical events happen after the Battle of Stockton, which should make people learn that this is the wrong way to go. But in the UK now, with people from both sides of the political spectrum being very extreme, such as groups like the EDL, Antifa, and many more, it seems to me that people are still not taking this into account and know that this is the wrong way to go. Will we learn? Only time will tell.
It was Sunday evening in Stockton town, and the blood of battle was warm on the ground. 100 black shirts